محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وفقا في الدين يا رب العالمين وألحقنا بعبادك الصالحين. Inshallah, we continue with the chapter of clothing of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And again, I emphasized last time as well as this time I'm going to emphasize that the clothing and the dressing of a Muslim is from the sunnah of Rasulullah. This is not from culture, this is not from habits, daily habits, this is not from customs. Many people understand this to be from customs, unfortunately, okay? This is not from customs. If those things which Rasulullah promoted, which aligned with customs and habits and cultures, then that is a good thing. Okay, so in Arabia, if they were doing good things, Rasulullah adopted it because it was part of the religion. Not because it was part of their custom to wear such clothing. No, because it was part of the religion. Okay, this is why he liked those things and he adopted those things and he kept those things inside the religion. This is why he promoted the religion to be the way it is. And the clothing of Rasulullah as well as the clothing of Sahaba, we will see today, inshallah. And just like we've done some chapters in regards to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves, inna Allah yuhibbu athara ni'matihi ala abdihi, aw kama qala alayhi salatu wassalam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves to see you wear good clothing. Good clothing meaning here, neat clothing, ironed clothing, clothing which doesn't have any dirt, those things, okay? Here we will see that some of the Sahaba, they were wearing simple clothing. Simple clothing does not mean dirty clothing. Many people misunderstand this, okay? They start thinking that, oh, simple clothing meaning any clothing which is, meaning doesn't have any value. Doesn't have any value. No, no, no. This is a big misconception and an idea which is completely misconstrued. Okay, let's start the hadith inshallah. عن معاذ بن أنس رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من ترك اللباس تواضعا لله. So this is the condition. Whoever leaves out a certain type of dressing out of humility, out of humbleness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay? Taking out arrogance. Let's say, for example, nowadays our culture is to wear branded clothing. Branded clothing meaning like Hugo Boss, Calvin Klein, whatever, yeah? Versace, Armani, whatever's there. What does the hadith say? Man taraka al-libasa tawadu'an lillah. Whoever leaves out that type of dressing out of humility to show that there's no need. Billionaires, do they wear that stuff? Do they have a need to wear that stuff? Do they need to show their cars off? Do they need to drive a Ferrari and a Lamborghini to show you and me what they're doing? They drive the simplest of cars, the simplest of clothing because they have no need to boast. So why are you doing it? Ultimately, in some part of another, subconsciously or knowingly, a person is doing it out of some type of pride, some type of arrogance, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates that. But here, it's very clear, man taraka libas, whoever leaves out that posh type of libas, that posh type of clothing which brings attention. Like when he dresses with that type of suit, everyone knows that this is the manager. There's no doubt that he's the CEO, you know, tailor. So those ones. He leaves it out for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of humility. وَهُوَ يَقْدِرُ عَلَيْهِ. The condition is that he is able to wear that clothing. He is able to wear that 1,000 pound suit. Not that a person is, I'm a bichara, I don't have the 1,000 pounds to buy the suit, and then when I buy the suit, I start showing off. No, 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 no. This is talking about a person who has the ability. He has the ability. He's got millions in his account. Okay? He has the ability to buy that 500 pound suit without a question, without even thinking twice. He's got, alhamdulillah, provided him with thousands and thousands of pounds inside his account. وَهُوَ يَقْدِرُ عَلَيْهِ. He's able to wear that type of clothing. دَعَاهُ اللَّهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ عَلَى رُؤُوسِ الْخَلَائِقِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will call him on the day of judgment in front of the whole creation. From Adam alayhi salam right until the last person. From the first part of the jinnat to the last part of the jinnat. From the first part of the angels to the last angel that was ever created on earth, in the universe. حتى يخيره من أي حلل الإيمان شاء يلبسها. Subhanallah. Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him the option to choose with clothing, whichever garment that he wants to wear in front of the whole creation. Meaning, he took out his pride in this dunya by not wearing those fancy clothing, by not wearing those branded clothing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him the choice on the day of judgment to boast in front of the whole creation. To boast in front of the whole creation that due to his piety, due to his forsaking this type of want and desire for people to look at him, on the day of judgment, Allah will give him the status that the whole creation will look at him. So the attraction that he wanted, he got it on the day when he needed it the most. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put him in the most highest of pedestals and gave him the choice to wear whichever hulal, whichever garment or garments that he wishes to wear and to show off to the whole creation. Now, a person may think there's a contradiction between ahadith which are telling you to wear good clothing and ahadith which are telling you to wear simple clothing. There's no contradiction. There's no contradiction at all. Simple clothing does not mean non-ironed clothing, does not mean clothing which are in a bad state. Okay? And at the same time, expensive clothing doesn't mean good clothing. Okay? You can have the same material, but just the logo changes it to 80 pounds. The same t-shirt, same company, same manufacturer, exactly the same warehouse where it's come out from, the exact same cotton. That t-shirt is 80 pounds, and the one with the logo with Gucci is 80 pounds, and the one without the logo is 8 pounds. You know that, I know that, everyone knows that. So it's a thing of pride. When you want to buy those things, it's a thing of pride. This is why we said that hadith. So there is no contradiction between the two. Okay, some Sahabas, they had this option, and some Sahabas, they went with that option. Okay, so both options are open to, like for example, even through our ulama from the Indian subcontinent. I graduated from South Africa. Those who graduated from UK, all the madrasas are generally they go back to India. Okay, they go back to Darul Ulum, Deoband. Now, Darul Ulum Deoband, we have many scholars. We had many scholars of the highest caliber. Majority of them, a lot of them, some of them adopted the ways of the majority of the Sahaba, which was Sufistic, if you want to think of. If you want to think of it in that way, like very simple clothing, very easy clothing, cotton type clothing, easy clothing, simple clothing, nobody needs to look at you. Some of them, alhamdulillah, like Maulana Hussein Ahmad Madani, he used to go all out. He used to go all out, completely. When you used to see him, subhanAllah, he used to be like the best clothed and best dressing and best everything. So this was also the quality of Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Abu Hanifa's quality was the same thing. He used to go all out. So whenever he used to go to the masjid, he used to look like as if he's going to a wedding. Some of his companions used to even ask him, like, what's going on? Where are you going? So it depends on the condition of the person, of how he understands tasawwuf and how he understands piety, and if it doesn't affect him. The main thing is some people are affected and some people are not affected. Imam Abu Hanifa is not affected by wealth. Why? Because he had so much wealth that he didn't have a worry about wealth. Some people, they are affected by wealth. So when simple people, they're wearing branded clothing, that clearly shows something which he doesn't have, he wants it and he wants to show it off. Okay? Whereas the opposite way, we see billionaires wear nothing. Why? Because they know branded doesn't mean anything to them, because he can buy the whole brand if he wants to. Subhanallah. Khair. Let's go on to the next hadith, inshallah. وعن رجل من أبناء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن أبيه رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من ترك لبس ثوب جمال وهو يقدر عليه قال بشر أحسبه قال تواضعا كساه الله حلل الكرامة رواه أبو داود في حديث. This hadith is very similar, but it's narrated from the grandsons of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and then from his father who was a Sahabi. He narrates that whoever leaves out a beautiful dressing, clothing which is really beautiful, like something which is extremely handsome and attracts the eyes, and he leaves it whilst he is able to wear such clothing, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is out of tawadu'an, out of humility, out of humbleness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make him wear the garments of nobility and honor on the day of judgment. عن أبي أمامة بن ثعلبة الأنصاري واسمه إياس رضي الله تعالى عنه قال ذكر أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يوما عنده الدنيا. Some of the companions of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, they were mentioning things about the world, worldly things, to Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا تسمعون. Do you not listen to me? Meaning, listen to me with attentiveness. Listen to me with attentiveness. Innal badhadata min al iman. Verily, simplicity is part of faith. Simplicity is part of faith. إن البذاذة من الإيمان يعني التفحل رواه أبو داود وابن ماجه وعن أبي بردة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال دخلت على عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها فأخرجت إلينا كساء ملبدا من التي تسمونها الملبدة. Somebody entered upon Aisha رضي الله عنها. She got out a piece of clothing, a piece of garment that was patched up. Izaran aziman mimman yusna'u bil Yaman, and a lower garment. So upper garment and lower garment. Upper garment was patched with probably patches of other clothing, and another one that was a lower garment. Lower garment was like the lungi, plain color, not like the Bangladeshi lungi, and it wasn't stitched. You know, the Bangladeshi one is round. The plain garment is not the Yemeni one, the one Rasulullah used to wear, just like a towel, more like a towel. They used to wrap around, more thin. It was like a fatla, you know. It wasn't that heavy. So this is what izar means. Izaran aziman mimma yusna'u bil Yaman. It was made in Yemen. Yemen is the asal of the Arabs. Yemen is where Arabs came out from. The asal of the Arabs are from Yemen, all the Arabs. وَأَقْسَمْتُ بِاللَّهِ لَقَدْ قُبِضَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ فِي هَذَيْنِ الثَّوْبَيْنِ. And she says, she makes a qasam to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She says, Wallahi, I take an oath in the name of Allah that Rasulullah died in these two garments. The upper garment was full of patches, and the lower garment was the normal, plain cotton clothing that was from Yemen. Okay? So this is to show the simplicity of Rasulullah. And we'll see, not many people think Rasulullah didn't have the money, didn't have this, didn't have that. No, this wasn't the case. Rasulullah chose to live like that, chose a simple life, chose not to flash off. You know, we love to flash other people. So here you'll see this hadith is in Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi. وعن أنس رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أكل خشنا ولبس خشنا لبس الصوف واحتذى المخصوف. قيل للحسن ما الخشن؟ قال غليظ الشعير ما كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يسيغه إلا بجرعة من ماء. الله أكبر. رواه ابن ماجه والحاكم. Here, Anas radiallahu anhu reports Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Who was Anas? He was serving Rasulullah for 10 years. We know that, yeah? I said this previously. So the person who served Rasulullah for 10 years, he's saying Rasulullah used to eat food that is coarse. It was told, what do you mean by coarse food, rough food? He said, barley, which if you were to put it inside your mouth, you won't be able to gulp it down except with a glass of water. That's how hard the food was. That's how coarse the food was. So Rasulullah didn't love all these, Alhamdulillah, if you have it and you can afford it, fine. You must treat yourself. But remember that it is best to restrain. It's best to restrain. Go once a month maybe, But don't do it as a habit. Don't make that as a habit of having good food all the time, every time, So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to eat khashin food. Khashin food meaning here, coarse food, hard food, not food that's not easily eatable. وَلَبِسَ خَشِنًا, and he used to wear coarse clothes, not fancy clothing, not Gucci and Armani, yeah? لَبِسَ الصُّوف, he used to wear wool, clothing made of wool, and wool was the way of the Anbiya alayhimus salam. All the Anbiya used to wear wool. وَاحْتَذَى الْمَخْصُوف, and he used to wear shoes which were patched up, Subhanallah. قِيلَ لِلْحَسَنِ, it was said to Hasan, one of the narrators, Mal khashin, what is khashin? What is coarse? What do you mean by eating and clothing coarse? قَالَ غَلِيظُ الشَّعْرِ, thick, coarse barley. We eat wheat nowadays. Back in the days, they used to eat barley as well. We have barley bread as well. If those who want to buy barley bread, you can do it out of sunnah, inshallah, one day, and you can try to bake it and eat it, inshallah. غليظ الشعير ما كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يسيغه إلا بجرعة من ماء. I explained that already, inshallah. Last hadith we'll go through. وعن ابن مسعود رضي الله تعالى عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال كان على موسى يوم كلمه ربه كساء صوف. The day which Musa alayhi salam spoke to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly on the Mount of Tur, isn't it? He was wearing clothing, a garment which was made out of wool. Made out of wool. وَكُمَّةُ صُوف. And even his robe was made of suf. وَسَرَاوِيلُ صُوف. And his pants were also made of wool. وَكَانَتْ نَعْلَاهُ مِنْ جِلْدِ حِمَارٍ مَيِّتٍ. Subhanallah. And his shoes, so this is to show simplicity. His upper garment was made of wool. His robe was made of, his top garment was made of wool. His pants was made of wool. This is the most simplest of clothing. Then you have, his shoes was made of leather of a dead donkey. Dead donkey. So if an animal dies, it is allowed to tan the skin and to wear it. Like for example, you'll see the musallas. If you go to the Arab world, then you'll see musallas made out of sheepskin. It's completely fine, completely jaiz, completely allowed. And they'll make jackets of those sheepskin and stuff like that, and they'll charge you exorbitant prices. SubhanAllah. Jazakumullahu khair. Inshallah, Allah give us the simplicity of Rasulullah and the simplicity of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.